charm of fishing is that it is the pursuit of what is elusive but attainable. It's a perpetual series of occasions for hope. First of all, this is for beginners. This is not for the person who's been fishing for 30 years. Now, how will you know if you like to go fishing? How will you know if you enjoy it? Well, the first thing to do is to go out on a head boat. Now, a head boat supplies the tackle, supplies the bait, supplies everything you're going to need. You just bring your own lunch, okay? If you like to find out you like to fish on a head boat, then you can start looking into more specific things. And the second thing I would look for is a guide service. Now, guide service usually is a boat around 24 feet long. It has a licensed, Coast Guard approved captain, and it only usually takes 2 or 3 people. So there's plenty of room to fish even though it's a small boat. Now, the ultimate would be to go out on a normal-sized charter boat. A normal-sized charter boat, such as the High Hopes, which is a 58-foot boat. It has a 6-passenger limit. Mostly these boats do. However, the High Hopes can take more. But usually it's a 6-passenger boat. Now, where do we learn about fishing? Well, look at the magazines. We got a lot of good magazines, but the problem with the magazines is they're for people who already know, okay? They're just going to fine-tune little parts. Next, we got outdoor writers. You can join a fishing club in your area. Call the outdoor writers from your sports page in your newspaper and tell them you really want to know how to get a hold of some of these people. Fishing clubs always need new people. They want new members all the time. And there are symposiums given all around the country. Attend one of those. Now, if you really want to know where and how to do all these things, go to a tackle shop. I'm not talking about the fish and tackle department in Kmart, which has good buys on a lot of things, but remember that salesperson, that may be their first day on the job. All they can do is punch a cash register, and they do that well. But as far as gaining knowledge about the local things and what's biting when and what to use, go to a tackle shop. They can tell you exactly what you need and not sell you something you won't have any use for. Let's go out and go surf fishing. Now, we got 2 standard size surf rods. This, the red one, is called a Hatteras heaver. It's been around since the beginning of time, the people down at Hatteras say. But if you look, it's as thick as a broomstick, and it has a revolving conventional reel on it. Now, the other is a lightweight but equally long and very strong spinning rod, and it's got a spinning reel on it. Now, why the big rods? Why the heavy stuff? Well, you can cast out a very, very heavy weight a long distance with either one of these, and preferably with the Hatteras heaver. However, the spinning rod's a lot easier to learn how to use, so this is probably more popular, considerably so. And the other thing that's going to happen is, after you've cast out, you are going to need something to hold that rod. Otherwise, sitting here holding this rod for 3 or 4 hours gets awfully tiring. So what we use is called a sand spike, okay? And all this is a piece of tubing that's cut at an angle, and this is pushed down in the sand, and then the rod is put in the rod holder so you don't have to sit there and hold it. If you got the clicker off, line can go out and cast easy, but then you put the clicker on, and so if you hear the sound, you can run down and grab your rod and set the hook. And again, we've got 2 types of rods and reels. Now, these are for casting. These are lighter weight rods and reels. Now, you see the height of them isn't anywhere near the length, and the thickness of these is very slight, and they're light action rods and reels, and we use these. Most of the time, beginners are going to like these because they can do a lot of things with them. Again, these are for drift fishing in a boat. They're for sitting and casting, or they're for casting very, very near the shore where you're not trying to catch a huge fish. Let's take one at a time, okay? Now, this one is a conventional revolving reel, okay? It's a little harder to to learn to cast with this than it is with the spinning rod. And most people who have been fishing any length of time prefer this. You don't have to spend a fortune for these, but go to a tackle shop and they'll tell you what's reasonable for a beginner. They can go up to $400 or $500, but you don't need that to learn. Now the other type is a spinning rod. Again, you're on a very light action rod, okay, and the spinning rod reels all combine the same thing, okay? They have a bail. The bail pulls over, then you cast, then you simply crank the handle and the bail automatically flips back where it's supposed to, and you start winding. Now, the difference is where in the conventional one, the line comes off this way. On a spinning rod, the line comes off this way in a circle, so it can easily get twisted, okay? And this is much easier to learn to use, and so everybody should really have one spinning rod. Now the next is, we've got some more rods, and if you look at them, they're quite different, but they do the same thing. One of them is a Shimano, the other is a Penn. Now we use these for bottom fishing, either drifting, or we could use them for light trolling, or we use them fishing over a wreck. Now, these are not casting rods. They're not designed to cast. They're designed to let line in and bring it out straight up and down. They're revolving reels again. Now, what's the advantage of each of these? If we look, we've got ceramic guides on both of them. These are not stainless steel guides, and they're not roller guides. This ceramic is tough, and it will not put a line in it and pit by the line going in and out of it over and over. Either one of them are fine. Again, they're not for casting. Now this is an altogether different type of rod. It's a stand-up rod, used to catch bigger fish, okay, but holding onto the rod instead of putting the rod in a rod holder as you would in bigger boats. Now, how do I mean this is a stand-up rod? Well, this thing has more flexibility than you can imagine. I mean, it's a tapered tip so that the power is right up in here, and you can fight big fish standing up. Now, you need a reel with a capacity to handle a big fish. These are wireline rods, okay? What's the difference in the two of them? Well, they're both about the same test, but one of them, again, has ceramic eyes and guides, whereas the other one has roller guides. Now, as long as the roller guides are working well, the roller guide fishing rod is going to be better. But the whole purpose of it is to be able to let the wire go down deep, because it works better than monofilament or Dacron or Kevlar, all of which float. The wire cuts through the water column much cleaner and quicker. So you spend more time in the strike zone when you're down on the bottom.
Just what the doctor ordered, a basic course in saltwater fishing. Got a young'un or a spouse who wants to learn about your favorite sport? Saltwater Fishing 101 with Dr. Jim is the tape for you. Dr. Jim covers rods, reels, lines, hooks, and sinkers. He takes you pier fishing, surf fishing, shore fishing, and boat fishing. Get yours today.